We interrupt our program to bring you this important message.
I'm back. That still has a nice beat to it. Still seated twerking to bounce. New Year. And that song still has a vibe in 2025. Also, it's time for a new intro. I am in with a podcast change. I added the FAAFO to it. But I'm back with the same formula that has allowed me to be successful in the past. I've set realistic intention. I plan on being present and following through, but I still intend to remain petty and hold grudges. Not all intentions need to be positive. Also, I will be unengaged and unbothered by people and things in my life that do not serve me. That means parasitic people, unsolicited judgments, biased newspapers, and mainstream banks. I will not apologize for maintaining my mental peace. Happy and unbothered and at peace because I'm at unbothered. All day, every day, being unbothered is my way. Join me.
To my homegirl, Laquita J. Elmore, Najee. Lift every chair and swing till all them white folks scream. Thought y'all could run up on our black king. I'm glad the squad pulled up, dedicated to Nuck if you buck. May it resound loud as the rolling sea. Throw your hats high in the air until Unc comes with the chair. Swim the seas until our cousins come and they rescue me. Let this be a lesson to y'all. Remember the Montgomery brawl, where white folks fucked around and they...
So in this part of the episode of Woke History, Black Wall Street, and other white hat moments, I want to basically reiterate or just explain why that I can't, and it's my understanding or where I am right now that we're moving into an age where it is, we already knew this. It's been going on for the last couple of years. More rollbacks of Black history as a separate entity is being cut out of mainstream schools. But if we're going to continue to move forward, we still have to know an unwhitewashed version of our history. We know we have to remember and continually be reminded of who we are, what was going on back in the day, so we could continue to move forward in spite of stupidity. With this age of continued rollbacks and DEI being becoming almost like a curse, all I can do is say we tried to tell y'all how not to treat us. We wanted y'all to understand why you haven't been punched in the face. Because not only did your this and the DEI, these programs and trying to teach y'all about how not to do microaggressions is because this is the compromise. DEI was a compromise from going from not getting us turning on the oppressors and punching y'all in the face or the neck. This was the more peaceful way to do that. Where did it come from? And why am I talking about that and talking about a bus boycott? In Montgomery, in 1955, Rosa Parks was tired. She just was tired. She did not and was not going to give up her seat because she had worked all day and she was in that nebulous zone. Racists work real hard to be racist. And this segregation was expensive. Y'all had to have zones on your buses, zones in all of your inhabitants. Y'all wanted to figure out a way to still take Black folks' money, but y'all didn't want to be with us or didn't want y'all still to be a part of us because our color excluded us even from riding on the damn bus. Girl, y'all stupid as hell. And because, and then we resisted, and then y'all got mad. See, that's what people don't understand, how economically senseless Jim Crow and segregation is and racism is. And it takes too much energy to uphold these separations than for y'all just to do the right thing. There is no separation of people because that's dumb. We're not lower than you simply based on race. That is just dumb, and it's contradictory to everything between Christianity, even the unperverted Christianity, and any other religion. Everybody basically is the same. So there are distinct differences, and I believe you can be proud of your heritage and still not be and not be a racist. So, because my heritage is more than just my color, but my color is really a big part of that. So, y'all wanted to maintain it, y'all, and then y'all passed had all these weird laws. And again, difficult to maintain when we are such a large part of the population. There's a compromise even with that. Y'all didn't even want that. wanted to start slow and just wanted or it was okay to hire Black drivers for the predominantly Black routes. Well, no, couldn't do that either because that means it was a kind of a Black Wall Street sitch. Because we only wanted to go where we had predominantly our lines, that would also give us a freedom that we could be respected, and nobody wanted that. They didn't want, because that would just be too much. Y'all become too highfalutin. And then you would have access to go to places where that was acceptable for Black people to go. Of course you couldn't have access to that. So no, we don't want that either. So then y'all made the mistake saying, well, y'all down there agitating. Now we're going to come up and try to get some dirt on short Martin Luther King because he can't be that great. We got to take out the leaders. This is J. Edward Hoover, the head of the FBI, the Alphabet Boys, for 40 some odd years. Okay. So then this is way before social media, way before you get dragged. He decided to illegally tap his phones and have him followed, etc. And what they couldn't find, I'm sure they were at liberty to make the shit up because he can't be that great, because he's a Black dude. And it's okay for us to do this and cheat, So I say all of those things to say is even racists won't even accept a compromise because anything that is still going to give us an edge. It gives us a minimum edge. So, and I'm not even saying things like DEI, these diversity and inclusion, has anything to do with making y'all feel bad. You feel bad because you know you ain't shit. I have nothing to do with that. And even though it seems like y'all want that to be rolled back because y'all don't want to continue to be reminded about how much y'all ain't shit. And we were trying to compromise. And some of the stuff that we were teaching y'all is actually intuitive, but y'all want to continue to basically roll in your racism and your stupidity. Fine. Go ahead and underestimate Black folks. But we tried. That was the peaceful compromise. We literally tried. We tried to compromise. And we did it. And then we did it. And then even when we try to compromise and do stuff peacefully, like peaceful boycotts, y'all take that as like some type of aggressive, and y'all have aggressive responses to it. That's what trips me out. The whole thing with trying to make Martin Luther King and all the other civil rights leaders look bad was trash. And it just lends itself to the garbage and trumped up charges and why people don't trust the government and why we don't trust the police, because we know about planting evidence on people that are above that, the degradation that they want to rain down on them. No, there are these people that these civil rights leaders are not above the law and they are human. But at the same time, some of the dirt that they did back in the day was just so egregious. And you would think it wouldn't happen today, but we have time and time again, dirty cops and even dirtier politicians. So again, y'all can kick rocks. And also, I say all of these things to say is we are also not the Negroes or Black folks of today. We're not Civil Rights era peaceful, we all about let freedom ring, but we're not all about turning the other cheek. I'm not that type of Negro. Also, some of these millennials, also, just y'all need to know, y'all need to stop playing in some of these millennials. Y'all think Generation X don't take, and you ain't gonna talk us to death. Some of these millennials don't know how to react, and they have access to guns, and y'all gonna need to really stop playing in their face. And this is just a warning from me. This is what I see. I'm one of those sitting on my sofa and eating the grapes type of Negroes. Y'all are crazy. Because some of these millennials are unhinged. And they're unhinged and armed. And then y'all don't want to pass gun control laws. Y'all don't want to have psychiatric care, extension of psychiatric care. And y'all don't want to control guns. So these unhinged MFers have access to them. Good luck with that. Okay? So DEI is rolling back DEI is counterintuitive, y'all. Because we tried a peaceful way to tell you how not to treat people. So now y'all think y'all can really play in our face and you're not going to get punched in the face. So y'all want to see now an uptick of aggression in the workplace or anywhere else? Because we're not going to get off the sidewalk when we see you coming. You're going to try to play in our face with this mess and be all Karen and Carlton on us, and you're going to get punched. That's all I got to say. And also, Target. We have thrown up the white hat. We've seen in the air like the bat signal. Y'all played in our face for years. Y'all said y'all had changed your direction of your DEI, and changed it into something called belonging. But then somebody slipped up and sent out the memo accidentally on purpose and saying, that was a smokescreen. And y'all rolling back your DEA initiative. All those collaborations and the mahogany are all lies. Y'all took our money, billions, for years, and now you're wondering why there may be a run on your stock price. Who wants to rage invest with me and short them MFers? Some of these retailers are not understanding until you run their damn pockets. And I'm with that. I'm with divesting. I'm with if you divest and then you still gain when the stock prices drop. I'm tripped out that since the announcement that they rolled back on DEI, there have been all of these revisions in the stock price of a brand that Black folks trusted. Not only did our bougie asses shop there, and all the collaborations that increased their revenues, like the Tabitha Browns, now it was all for naught. And they lie, just like Walmart, just like Ford. And it tripped me out that the bus that Rosa Parks was arrested on is now in the Henry Ford Museum, one of the biggest races, because he didn't want to sell to us. While Cadillac was like, good, give me that money. They're under the GM brand now, but they were the only ones back in the day that would even sell to us new cars, even through the 60s, all through the Civil Rights Movement. And again, I say all of those things just to say, number one, stop playing in our faces, y'all, because you're going to get punched in the face now. We tried to tell y'all a peaceful way to deal with us and how to stop being dumb and racist. But y'all don't want to listen, so you're rolling back all these initiatives. Good. Now you're going to get what you're going to get. And you're going to wonder why there's an uptick in aggression in the workplace. Because y'all are stupid. Y'all want to wallow in your dumbness, and y'all want to still continue to make it right for people to say it's okay to play in people's faces. Fine. Then you take the consequences, because there's consequences for your retarded actions. Number two, we bougie. We have discretionary funds. We don't have to shop with you. There are places and listservs like Shop the Hood. We are getting into other melanated people's DMs and finding out where you shop and where did you get that. You can actually navigate to podcast notes, but you could just go to shopthehood.com. And so there was somebody that reacted negatively to the name of the website. That's colloquialism for the hood is my hood, our hood, Black folks' hood. And the people that run it, that website actually look like me, and I trust this gap-toothed lady. And I also love how she has curated her different categories for Black-owned, Black women-owned, and people of color items on this site. Because I do still need to shop. I still like to shop. Now that I know that I have more options than Amazon, I don't even trust Bezos and his lazy ass self. So, again, Black Wall Street was burned down because it was a place. But I firmly believe that Black Wall Street is a state of mind. Supporting our own banking, like the One Uniteds. Shopping on the curated sites like Shop the Hood. Making an effort, an extra concerted effort to support Black businesses, because I don't think that necessarily that Black Wall Street is just a place, but it's going to have to take on a different entity We have a whole cloud with terabytes of information and space that we can operate, and all of us, we have enough dollars to share among and support our own community. This people or retailers that have made decisions like Target and Walmart really do think that we are going to continue, or we have to support their establishments. When they don't want us there, when they have made it clear they don't want us there, and they don't care about how we're treated, and they don't want to make the extra effort to continue to have a diverse workforce, even though that diversity makes them stronger. They don't care. They don't want people that look like me to be in places of power, to be a beacon, or an encouragement to others that look like me, because they say it doesn't really matter and we don't have to. Now that the government, federal government doesn't want to, and has proven time and time again, they're not going to support my communities and they want to destroy my communities, fine, then we got to do the work. But it's not going to look like the civil rights movement. It's not going to be peaceful, and it's not going to be carrying walk necessarily just on the picket line and carrying a sign. It's going to be where I spend my dollars. I don't have to work for companies that don't care about how I'm treated and not invested in promoting me. It's not so much that my discretionary spending has to be at those companies that don't care about promoting people that look like me. So all of y'all need to basically pay attention to what these retailers are really saying, and also about what other businesses are saying. Do you want to work for companies that really don't want to learn how to treat their workforce better and promote and be about promoting and having a diverse workforce? Or is it going to have to now be a resurgence in entrepreneurship, continue to be supported by the community that they are representative? You don't have to have a traditional storefront, because you can have a diverse and broad storefront without the overhead, because the cloud is there, and that's not restrictive. I say all of those things to say y'all better tighten up, because the time is here and the time has definitely come. Target seemed to be the last DEI standing. Costco is still hanging in there, and they're doubling down on their efforts for now. But do we actually have to have a bro code, where we actually have to continue to be about that life, shutting down Shop the Hood because the traffic has increased tenfold? Because we have to be about it. If what we have not learned in our history is we are better when we support each other. And if we have to circle the wagons to protect ourselves like they did in the Westerns, then so be it. This is your white hat moment, brought to you by FAAFO has a fro. Butterflies in the sky, I could go twice as high. So take a look, it's in a book. FAAFO has a furrow. I can do anything. So take a look, it's in a book. FAAFO has a furrow. I can go anywhere. So take a look, it's in a book. FAAFO has a furrow. FAAFO has a furrow. Just when I thought I was over it and too lazy to carry on with my podcast and out of continued waves of sadness, I read something that touches my soul and makes me proceed with what essentially is a passion project. Olivia leans forward and says, "Tell me why you write poetry. Why do you even want to?" Because I don't understand the world. I hardly even see the world. It makes me crazy sometimes, and I'm not kidding. All right, and does writing poems make the world more understandable and less crazy? Barbara thinks of how Odenowski faced change in the elevator and how everything she thought she understood about reality fell to ruin when that happened. No, less understandable, more crazy, but there's something about doing it I can't explain. I think you can, the old poet says. Well, maybe a little. Sometimes I write a line or more than one, once in a while a whole poem, and I think, there, I got that right. Oh man, that sense of relief. So the reason why, that's from Stephen King's book, Holly. And I freely admit it's taken me a minute and to get through the book itself, because I kept getting hung up on some of the parts that were kind of slow, and I kept trying to wrap my mind around the absolute piggery and bigotry of the Harrises. They couldn't even, and arrogance. As serial killers, they're the worst type. And they couldn't even realize their bigotry and patronizing manner that they treated Barbara Robinson, the young poet who I now think is probably 17 or 18 years old and who is talented. Their bigotry and their playing with her basically saved her life, because I firmly believe that they would have thought she was a great specimen and was worth eating. And their cannibalistic tendencies, they would have, because she saw too much. She saw the van. She's connected to her brother, Jerome Robinson, and Holly. And she is a survival of a killer. Not only am I interested in reading about this Chet Odenowski dude, I'm also encouraged to also finish this book and see how it all turns out, because I hope that both Barbara and Jerome and the old lady who's getting ready to turn 100 years old, the poet, her truth-telling and her willingness to see Barbara as a talented poet and also a black woman, but her being black does not predicate or does not lessen her ability to be a great poet. And although it is there, and it's also contributing to the greatness, but her life experience at such a young age and the way that she sees the world at a young age has something to do with it. And I think the way the chapter ends, and it's just not, and I also was trying to make sure that Stephen King wasn't trying to play in my face and he was trying too hard to make me think that he's woke. I think he's walking that fine line of a liberal when the old white lady leans forward and she basically says, "Do you understand you're good at this?" And Barbara thinks, on the basis of 3 or 4 poems, you know this how? But she whispers back, yes, because she knows. And Olivia basically leans forward, and it's kind of funny that Barbara notices this. She says, Low voice carried on a waft of faintly bad breath, she says, "Did Emily ask you if your poems were about what she likes to call the Black experience?" Well, she did say something. And the poem I saw and the ones you read to me weren't about being Black, were they? And she said no. The hand on her wrist tightens. "I'm going to ask you a question and don't you dare. Give me your promise. I promise. Do you understand that you're good at this?" Implying that she's good at this, not just in spite of her being Black. She's good at this is just because she's good at this. And I don't know if this is him trying to imply that she's a good poet. She's a Black woman and she's a good Black woman poet. And she's good at it because she's good at this. And these are her experiences. And this is the way she's going to keep the poison. Her being creative is her way of keeping the poison out. She has to create because she's compelled to create to keep the poison of the world out of her space. And I'm trying to make sure I'm understanding that. I'm hopeful he's not implying that she's good at this because she's good at this. She's not just good at this because she's Black, but she's good. She's just a great Black poet. And it's not in spite of or because of. She just is. And I hope I got that right. Because I always have this niggle, can you trust white people? And can you trust someone that truly sees the color and they don't really matter? They just see the talent. Because you can see their color, but you can also recognize the talent. And I'm glad he has not yet said that she's colorblind or some other BS. I just want her, I'm just glad he says he has brilliantly written without being condescending and patronizing. He basically has said, yeah, I see this young Black poet and I recognize talent and I'm going to give her props. And I'm not going to be condescending to say this is something like Black experience because that's completely racist. But also I think, and I'm wondering, or if I'm giving him too much credit, or he's just smart. He just basically is saying, he's not going to say, I don't see color. He's going to say, yeah, I see color, but I also recognize talent. Because both of those things can be true. And that's the brilliance of living to 100 years, writing for almost 100 years, I guess, and basically seeing the world for as it is. He sees all the disadvantages that a Black poet would have, and he also, in his experience, also sees how other talented poets who are Caucasian, of the Caucasian persuasion, can look at other non-white poets and they can be judgmental, they can still be microaggressive, and they can still be racist. But I'm glad that he shows that you can't teach an old dog new tricks, or the old dog can also recognize his game and also be up on game, and then with no judgment and with trueness of wanting a creative to succeed, open themselves up to basically supporting someone that does not look like them, and being truly honest and being truly not racist. And that is what is so refreshing. How I'm going to be able to proceed, I'm not going to be able to not create and continue to read books like this and to search for other books and writings like this in my own path. My own path forward to keep the poison out and to fight against the waves of sadness and melancholy is still to be open for searching for true blue, great works and outlets for my own creativity to be able to keep back the poison and the darkness that comes with it. And I hope other people will search and read books like Holly by Stephen King. And they will continue to come back to my podcast because they're going to see me as one of those light flickering in the poison that is becoming most of the reality. And other great podcasters and writers and other people that are basically doing the same thing. And also other listeners of the show asking themselves, what do you do to keep the poison out of your life? To roll back the curtain of sadness and darkness. What are you doing? What is your call to action? I hope this is serving as your call to action. What are you doing from a creative standpoint to basically push back the darkness that basically tries to seep in? What are some of the positive things? Do you just basically call your therapist and get more session? Because that's also positive. Or do you have some creative outlets? And why aren't you searching for creative outlets to bring a little bit of light and happiness in the world? And turning off and doom scrolling, stop doing that is the first. And doing things that make you actually happy and bring positivity in the world, that should remain your focus. Because I know that's going to have to be mine, to basically keep back that curtain of sadness. We're a messy bunch, the shady bunch, the shady bunch. I hope fraternity checks is worth being part of the shady bunch. So I don't know about y'all, but I'm reliving my own PTSD watching this final episode of Real Housewives of New York. And I said, and was thinking a whole bunch of things about how none of these hoes are Uber's friends and et cetera, et cetera. But now I get just how dark this shit was, and I'm reevaluating my response to it. Not just after Carlos King's Reality with the Kings episode this past Thursday, but also, or was it last Tuesday? I don't remember. But after I watched this, I was like struck by the audacity of Bryn Whitfield. Bryn Whitfield is one of the newly revamped Real Housewives of New York. Quirky, high yellow, childlike, but she's also on some alternate reality supervillain-ish. I firmly believe that she keeps basically saying that she's a project manager over a company that's developing an app, but they never go into the details of what this app actually does, and I'm not really clear of her role in the app. But I think she may have used the platform or the Real Housewife or Bravos as a platform for her for notoriety. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, even in her initial, from the payment schedule for a Real Housewife in the first year is not all that substantial. It is what comes of what they do after the show, et cetera, appearances, and how they increase their notoriety. I think she read the comments and she amped up her stirring the pot antics. This last episode was one of the reasons why their sophomore season, and why now all of us realize you cannot completely revamp a show like Real Housewives with a whole bunch of newbies, and it's probably not going to work. You probably need some OGs in there to keep it real. But what I have found is, or what I realized too is none of these women would be or are friends with any OG. They basically run and are in different circles. I also realized that a lot of this is what I got from Carlos King, and I'm going to actually put the link to his recap of this last episode too. None of these bitches are friends. They basically do and try really hard to have a moment, and it's mostly performative. But this backfired. Bryn, girl, you in danger. What this stunt you pull and this lie that you told is so Phaedra Parks 2009 when she lied about Candy having an inappropriate relationship with Portia. Y'all remember that? And soon after that reunion, when it was revealed that Phaedra lied, she tried to backtrack and blame it on production. No, you told that lie. Portia realized it too late, and then all hell broke loose. And then right after that, Phaedra was sat down, or she was paused for about 6 or 7 years until she came back on Traitors and Married to Medicine. So you can, number one, you can't lie, and you can't blame production on that lie. And it just so happens, I don't know, that's when Carlos King left the franchise. I'm not saying that she lied on Carlos, but I'm just saying it may have been a contributing factor to why, well, he also started his own production company and also had his own show on an alternate network. But I digress. I still believe until this day, if Carlos wanted to come back to Bravo, he could, but I think he's basically too big now and they can't afford him, or they won't pay him what he's actually worth. He's doing fine over at OWN since a void was left by Tyler Perry going to BET and possibly buying it, but that's neither here nor there. I digress. What happened to Bryn was tragic, and her sexual abuse or sexual assault, it doesn't negate that. And I firmly believe the details of such Uba did not know, and it would be really frightening that she would still come to her if she were to know something like that, if she would to have told her about sucking penis to get a job. But I'm not sure, because unless Uba, who I think English is her second language, when Bryn spoke about that, her first season, I don't know if it didn't dawn on Uba or she didn't put two and two together. What I do know is, and I would hope that she wouldn't care or she would not have valued her friendship so little that she would say something so crass to someone that's a victim of sexual assault. Or she truly didn't, because they ain't friends. These hoes ain't loyal. And because she, in her own feelings, she's delusional. Equating herself with Naomi Campbell is actually very funny. Although I would love to see Uba and the black girl from Real Housewives of Miami, as well as Kenya Moore. I would love all of them to be in the same room with Naomi Campbell. Is that the only one? Because there's, and Ion from Real Housewives of Dubai. I would love to see all of the African princesses of Real Housewives of Fame walking the catwalk with the great Naomi Campbell. You know, that would be so dope. Or with Iman. Because I think Ayon looks like Iman. I think they're both of the same African extraction. So, yes, she is funny for she is funny for her delusion, but I can actually see it and I would watch that. Also, but her response to Bryn saying and accusing her of that was almost visceral. And for just a moment, how all of them initially, Raquel and Sai and all of them were like, this is horrible. And then they were like, I'm not sure. They were all talking about it amongst themselves instead of going to and encouraging Uba. This is what this child said, and making her be accountable for those potential words. What they did was wrong. Even though they eventually basically said that, not just that Bryn has a propensity to twist the truth in her favor. We know this is some whack shit and we know she's lying, but it took them a minute to get there. And I think that is what the fact that they took the light-skinned girl who only plays her black card when it's convenient for her side. It took her acting like the angry black woman and flipping the fuck out for them to react and realize that this girl was lying, straight up gangster lying about something so traumatic and causing her own PTSD on somebody. It looks like she has had a vendetta to get rid of the dark-skinned black girl. So all of these things, colorism, y'all playing in our faces, all of these things are absolutely true. Do I think Bryn lied? Yes, I do. I firmly believe that. It doesn't negate the fact that she had this horrible thing happen to her, but she used it as well as her blackness to basically stick a knife in the other black woman on this show. That to me is disgusting. And I hope all of your direct deposits have cleared, because you played yourself, you tried to play us, and you aren't coming back. That's why I think she made the decision, because she knew the writing was on the wall. Bitch, you were never in danger of being asked back, because you have been doing some off-camera, sounds like shenanigans. And you knew, because when you announced it, I think they had already taped this shit. You already knew what it was. And you knew what your status was, because you played yourself. And if you really thought that you were not these women's friend, you basically, any semblance of trust, definitely bridge was burned with Uba. And I think it's because you revealed her relationship with the dude from Connecticut, and she saw how you interacted with the other. She didn't trust your ass anyways. Definitely this BS, she's not going to trust you. But I also would, again, factor into, although I like Raquel and her relationship with her significant other, I like Sai. I was coming around to Erin now that I know that Erin she's actually, her and Abe are having their fourth child. Be fruitful and multiply, girl, mazel. But I also think that also Jessel and her bad dressing behind. I would like to have seen more realistic interpretation of your Indian culture, but you just basically are too dialed in, again, to the comments. I would have liked to see more realistic representation of relationships. I don't get any of you. I'm not invested in any of your personal life and any of your interactions with the women, because it seems that none of you are genuinely friends, and everything that you try to do is for a moment. And I hope all of your direct deposits have cleared, because it appears that not only has Bryn in danger of not being asked back, I would venture the chemistry is so off with the rest of y'all. I don't know whether they're going to put all of y'all on pause and then have to, if they would come back, either invest in the OGs coming back or basically canceling that whole part of the franchise. It's not a ratings because it is a numbers game. Nobody wants to see fakery. I know I don't. And I only tuned in for this last episode because it was so dark. And I'm probably going to watch the reunion because I'm going to see how poorly or how positively y'all are going to address in a productive way the nonsense of this past season, and definitely the debacle of that season finale. Because it took y'all a little bit too long to come to the realization that Uba, she's a lot of things, delusional is one of them, but her intentionally saying that shit, maybe it is far-fetched, but I think it took y'all too long to get to that. And it took her going batshit crazy before y'all clocked in and decided that it was okay to believe that the light-skinned girl was lying, and that y'all are so fractured, or that y'all were never friends, and we're basically just seeing the results of that. And completely revamping a franchise that is so iconic as RHONY probably is a bad idea. You can take the girl out of the hood, but you can't take hood music out the girl. But I'm going to end this with a word, just as I started this podcast. Do or do not do. There is no try. And that's a word from Yoda. I hope I have conveyed just how much fun I have had in creating this podcast. I've got my mojo back. Just set your intention or reset your intention. It could be daily if necessary. Mine is peace. No mental dumping over here. If I'm acting like I'm not listening, I'm probably not. I'm not your therapist. I'm not a therapist. Keep the crazy to yourself, child. You do you and leave me be. The sooner you figure that ish out, the happier you will be. So this is what I want to convey in this podcast. And that wraps another of FAAFO has a fro. Join me next time as I throw shade and point out the shade and simply have fun. Y'all have a great new year. What, y'all? What?